What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the EGFC Overwatch 2. There it is. Every time I start casting, I immediately lose my voice. It's going to be another awesome Overwatch Thursday, and we are super excited to jump into this. We have, unfortunately, only 2 series tonight, but hopefully they're going to be bangers, starting things strong. St. John's versus Southern Utah. I'm Zeppelin. That's Twin Salty. Salty, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. And I just want a little intrigued about, just because I think the favorite going in is going to be in St. John's.
Yeah.
It's hard not to say the favorite. They've been playing extremely well. They did get swept last week, though, by Hawaii, which, granted, a lot of people get swept by Hawaii.
Hawaii is like a number 1 through 3
good
team.
Yeah, so I'm curious on what Southern Utah will be able to do, as, again, I think we're settling into this meta now, to where there's not as many curveballs getting thrown out, and I wonder what they've kind of settled in now.
Yeah, I know that depending on which region of the world you go to, there seems to be a new meta emerging in those places. And my opinion of last week and the week before does still stand, that I don't think there is currently a full set meta. I think you're more likely to see certain characters than others, but as of right now, in my opinion, there's not really a throw character. Even Roadhog has been proven to get value on a couple of stages, like our first map of the day. Going to be jumping into Ilios, the control map. I'm super excited to be seeing that. And we've got, oh my goodness, a set map pool, as we always do. Ilios, followed by Kings Row, followed by Coliseo, followed by Circuit Royale, followed by, it is determined, Antarctic Peninsula. We just don't have a graphic for that yet because it's a brand new map. However, these first 3 salty, I'm usually pretty salty here, but I like this map pool a lot, I'm not going to lie.
It's a really nice map pool for this week, and we should see a lot of diversity, a lot of rush comps as well, especially when we go over to the UK in map 2. So now going over to Ilios, we'll have to wait and see what these teams want to run. And as you said, it's one of the few maps that Roadhog could be playable. I don't think he's still the top pick here.
Definitely not.
But he's at least playable. He's not a throw pick like he could be in other maps tonight.
Yeah, it's like if you made him kind of, if you played him before he got nerfed, you're still able to make a little bit work here, especially on Ilios. Well, we might be seeing a lot of that, but let's look at the tanks they're going to be bringing to the front line. I would guess Ramatra or Winston, and Winston it is So, St. John's University playing Lucio, Kiri, Winston, almost a mirror from Southern Utah, and I wish Asian Boy would commit here, because I think Bastion is way stronger than people are currently giving him credit for. I would love to see him. They're saying, hey, let's play anything. Let's just do whatever we want to get in there. But St. John's, they lock in a comp. They are believing in it, and I like it a lot. I think it's going to be really helpful to have Miku on that Tracer to dive with Jolton Joe. And Jolton Joe, one hell of a main tank if I've ever seen one.
One of the best main tanks we have in the league, and the fact that they can just dive right on in with Miku right behind them could be pretty deadly for Reladox sitting in the back. Only difference being Asian Boy more trying to do for the anti-tank on that Reaper.
Asian Boy's Reaper is pretty consistently impressive, but like you said, playing anti-tank in a comp where the entire team is going to collapse on top of you can be pretty difficult. Dolphins Winston is going to be a little more contested, I believe, if Southern Utah can't move with the speed that a Tracer or that this Lucio can. It's going to be up to Compress to try and keep this Winston up and running. Early farm from Miku, 30% to that pulse bomb. They read the dive in, they miss the Suzu, and they try to keep the team up and running. First cap in favor of Southern Utah. This is a great play. The number one thing I feel like we're always harping on Utah for is the lack of patience. They're definitely trying to play patient here, and it's working out well, at least for fight number 1.
Oh, they just chill on point, and as soon as they decide we're going to try and bunker down, Jake's able to get that opening pick. Make that 2-3. They just clean it on up. Jake having a festival going on, and already 2/3 of the ult. And patience this time around goes in favor of St. John's. But as you said, not the worst start for Southern Utah.
Not at all.
They know they're going to be climbing from the bottom here. This is going to be a rough game for them at times. So at least getting that early 20% sets themselves up. And Kitsune Rush is almost online.
Kitsune Rush, one of the most impactful ultimates in the game right now, can flip a fight in its entirety, gives you cooldown reduction, increased movement speed, and increased fire rate. Very helpful for a team that could be down a player or wants to make a little bit of space without having to give a sacrifice for it. Speaking of sacrifices, Asian Boy, the first one taken down, Dolphin not far behind, and Jake just dominating the battlefield on this Sojourn so far. There's hardly a fight left to discuss, as that's another fight win for St. John's.
Second fight in a row, Jake is able to pick up 3 and able to pick off that first blood. That just sets themselves up so nicely, because as soon as that first player goes down, St. John's is immediately able to converge on the rest of the targets of Southern Utah and not really have to worry about it all too much. So now they have all those ultimates in the bank, with Southern Utah now playing from behind.
Looking for the pulse bomb, waits out the Suzu and gets the job done early on. Dolphin falls. Southern Utah gonna have to hold S and try to get out of the fray as fast as possible. Considering we're hitting that 30% threshold, Salty, there's gonna be one more real fight before this comes to a close. Jolton Joe looking for the highlight, but he whiffs it. Can't find Compress and stalls out a lot of time. Now we only have 25 seconds for Southern Utah to win this last fight. Full-blown ult-pocalypse at the ready for them.
I would assume Zemetic will use that Kitsune Rush just for them to engage on in. Probably not going to wait for that Death Blossom combo. And now pressure on Reladox here to get a first blood.
First blood needs to come out early. Reladox has the overclock online, and it does charge faster with a Kitsune. Two Kitsunes, 2 beats, 2 overclocks, and first fall on the side of St. John's University. Compress gets that Supportal Combat elimination, takes them out of the fray, and Reladox traded in the very same breath. Both overclocks finding absolutely nothing due to the timing of the beat. Asian Boy desperate to make this Reaper work and gets the elim he needed to give the team the advantage. Moving into this next fight, 30% online. Southern Utah throws it all out the window, and they're thinking their lucky stars that something stuck, even for just a moment.
Even if it just gets you one more fight, you're at least able to survive.
No.
And now Primal Rage used just to make sure Dolphin isn't taken out early, but they will still get burned down, and they won't be able to use the last few seconds of this ult.
Dolphin has to get out with that Primal Rage, barely living to tell the tale, and still might not even be able to. Has to drop that bubble. That bubble might have been helpful to help save somebody during a pulse bomb, but hindsight's 20/20 after all. A high dive onto the high ground. Both supports separated from the fight, but it's Jolton Joe diving into the back line that might be able to find a little bit of value. It's a bit of a Venn diagram with the Winston bubbles. Everybody desperate to stay alive. The first one to fall can tip the fight in favor of the opposing side, and it's Compress who learns that lesson the hard way. Pulse bomb takes Reladox offline, and St. John's University finds themselves in a very strong inkling to win stage number 1 of Ilios. I'm going to say it's, Salty, notably closer than I think they ever wanted it to be.
Notably what they thought, and honestly what we thought this
without a doubt
early on. I think Southern Utah, they've always loved running the ball comms. Dolphin is now on it, at least for the stall here. But seeing that the Winston is able to get some work done as well is at least a good sign for what they could do potentially the rest of this series.
Compress goes down once again. Reladox deleted from this mortal coil. Jake's overclocks them right back to the spawn room, and with this Kitsune to boot, Dolphin can only delay the inevitable. Southern Utah keeping it close, but unfortunately close not going to cut it. You need that 100%. The stall potential comes through all again, and until they're able to call this stage down and out, they've got to kiss Ilios Ruins goodbye.
I'm curious to see now what Southern Utah would like to do here, because it did not work as well as you wanted it to, but it also didn't work out horrendously on the Winston.
Right.
But now, as we make our way over to Well, do you just stick it on the ball, try and play around those environmental kills, or do you go back to the Winston, which is probably better overall? And it looks like the Dolphin will be going over to the Winston now to try and play a little more consistent damage. And it seems like they were at least able to counter dive Jolton Joe's engages pretty nicely, just never able to finish him up.
Yeah, and I think Winston is actually going to struggle here the same way Wrecking Ball would. Kiri and Lucio are two of the fastest supports in the entire game. If you dive down on them and they just run away, you've wasted your leap, you're stuck in no man's land, and you might get melted for it. We're going to need Compress to be staying with the Winston, staying with helping that speed boost, helping those engages come out early to give Southern Utah that little bit of an edge they need to take us all the way to Lighthouse. Now we're on my favorite Ilios stage, Ilios Well, and we're going to have to see which one of these teams comes out on top of fight number 1. Ooh,
so far, just not too, just poking around, playing for cages.
Back to patience, right? Nobody wants to be the first to fall. Nobody wants to overextend in a desperate attempt to find an elimination. And St. John's, whoa! Miku has to blink out of the well, but will fall to those Helix rockets coming out from Asian Boy. Soldier recently getting buffed and clearly making a positive impact to the side of Southern Utah. His recoil has been lowered in an insane amount, if you ask me, but it's definitely a buff he could use to stay relevant in a game as fast as Overwatch 2. Southern Utah with first point cap once again.
The question is this time around, how long will they be able to hold it? If they can win this next fight, it's already better than last round.
That's very true. If they can win this fight, they can put 2 down. We haven't seen them been able to win 2 fights yet. And Jolton Joe, holy cow, doesn't even get to participate in fight number 2 as Asian Boy melts them from this existence back into that spawn room. St. John's back against the wall a little bit. They've got a Primal Rage. Maybe they can rely on that for this upcoming fight. Southern Utah 1 quarter done with taking us all the way to stage number 3. An early leap from Dolphin trying to find an extra elimination. That stagger could have helped them win a 3rd fight in a row, but unfortunately not going to be able to find it yet. St. John's looking for a full 5 recontest. Deep dive into the back line. Jolton Joe desperate to find an Elim, but it's the Suzu that keeps the team up and running. Miku taken down by Dolphin. Visor online, but Asian Boy doesn't want to pop it when they're trapped in a corner. DPS trade out gives St. John's the numbers they need to keep things at the very least close. Wow, phenomenal jump there from Dolphin to flank right back into that back line and stall St. John's for as long as possible. Kitsune clashes. Both of these Kirikos want to give their team that movement advantage to keep the dream alive. The beat from both sides as well. It is the portal combat through and through because these supports know if they hold on to that ult one fight too long, it can cost them. And here's Asian Boy with possibly a free Visor. No Suzu, no beat to keep this team up, and I think that's going to be another fight win for Southern Utah. This team is looking the best we might have ever seen them right here on Ilios Well.
They're looking extremely polished. And as you said at the very beginning of the map, they're seeing a lot more reserved on their dives. Dolphin could have went in so many times during that, but instead just, all right, we can just chill at choke. There's no pressure on us to really engage right now. They're the ones that have to take this space that is incredibly hard to take back.
It's so important to have that critical understanding of just because you took it a little later than you wanted to doesn't mean you didn't get it at all. And as Jake's overclock is completely eliminated from the fight, I think Southern Utah has all but guaranteed we are seeing all 3 stages of Ilios going all the way to that lighthouse. Unless St. John's pulls out a 5K miracle on the Tracer, well, we're ready to say goodbye to Ilios Well.
What a nice round here from the Thunderbirds. Just no doubt about it. This is a team that seems to be settling into this very nicely. And St. John's never was able to really finish off their plays, right? They dive on in. They try and get Asian Boy in the back line. I think they just take them out. But from there, not able to finish up anybody else. And again, I say a lot of that goes credit to Zemetic. That time around, yes. The Suzus were a lot cleaner. And they were able to just make sure Reladox stayed up the entire time with how much damage they were outputting. But Southern Utah definitely looking better than what we thought they were going to be tonight. And St. John's now a little bit more pressure on them, thinking, hey, they're probably going into this wanting a 3-0 and thinking they can definitely get the 3-0. And the jeopardy of that is down to this final round.
Yeah, and I'm so fascinated because I would love to see a tank that isn't Winston. Is he strong? Yes. Is he the only answer? Absolutely not. Both these teams continuing to play Winston back to back to back, and with Asian Boy being on the high ground, that's going to call St. John's dives to exclusively land on that high ground, and might make them a little easy pickings if the rest of Southern Utah is waiting just around the corner. Reladox taken out by Kiribri early on. The dive from Jolton Joe comes too late to save a team member, and it's counter dove by Southern Utah's front line. Asian Boy falls. It's a DPS trade, and these teams both relying on the next elimination to truly turn the tide in favor of their team or the other. Goodbye, Zemetic. Hello, St. John's, and possibly a first-point cap. How long can they hold on to it, Salty? Because Southern Utah haven't been able to answer back from being in a deficit quite yet. Can they break that curse now?
I think there's a chance. The only difference here that I would say, other than Well, is that on Well you're playing a lot more long-range poke. You can run away a lot easier on those hit scan characters. This time around, you're not going to be able to do that as easily. So I'm kind of curious what the game plan is for Asian Boy and Reladox.
Asian Boy wants to play the high ground, but it's going to be really difficult. Not sure what Dolphin was doing there, but it's definitely going to cost their team this whole fight. Tried to leap up, went far too high, and just became a clay pigeon for St. John's to shoot down and send back to that spawn room. 30% done. St. John's lost point number 2, but clearly it lit a fire underneath them. All right, we need to focus up. It's game time, and they're looking to win stage 3 and map number 1 with only 40% on the board. Plenty of time left for Southern Utah to turn this around.
Plenty of time, and they're trying to take over high ground, but this time around going all the way wide over to the other side of the map, realizing it's going to be so difficult to try and take high ground when Jolton Joe is already established.
80% of that Primal Rage. Jolton Joe wants to find a little bit of action early. I like the bait from Dolphin there. Kind of made it so Jolton Joe could dive in and then have to answer to the counter Winston. Up onto the high ground. All characters going to disperse quickly, and this could be an Elim, but instead it's the rest of Southern Utah's team getting ripped to shreds in those back line. Dolphin, not long for this mortal coil either, and St. John's winning another fight, feeling very confident with their performance. 30 seconds remain, and they didn't pop a single ult this game so far, this stage yet.
That's how confident they do feel. It's like, all right, we can win this in the neutral. We don't have to try and utilize too many ultimates in these fights. And they're also forcing a swap Relidox onto the Hanzo, maybe just to try and break that Winston bubble that is really dooming them in some of these fights. Zemetic not able to heal Dolphin, and by the time that bubble is actually gone, Dolphin's at too low a health to be saved.
The Hanzo going to be used for probably shield break here, or bubble burst rather. Kitsune rush from Zemetic, a desperate attempt to get the team onto the point without having to give any of their lives for it. Unfortunately, Dolphin falls. Nobody's there to catch him in time. Joey Baloney traded out. Compress taken off the Mortal Coil, and St. John's has that numbers advantage once again. Asian Boy only able to find one with that tactical visor, and that was one and done. St. John's winning Ilios 2-1. Very close, but St. John's remaining supreme.
Showing they are one of the teams that we talk about a lot. They are not... I think they've taken a step down from where they were last school year, but that's just because of graduations, which, you know, that's the reality of collegiate esports. But they're definitely still a team that can be, you know, a very scary team, especially when the right meta falls to them. And Jake, on this Sojourn, seems to be the perfect fit, especially over there on Ruins. Pick after pick, 2 fights in a row where you get 3 eliminations. And it just a great start for them. I think they just fully bank on the fact that Jake can hit those shots. And honestly, for everybody else, if you can cause chaos so the eyes are not on Jake, it's a very nice win condition.
Without a doubt. Jake, I believe one of the newer players to the St. John's roster, doing a phenomenal job on the DPS and making up for some pretty big shoes that were left behind. Map number 1 is a victory for St. John's, so let's take a look at map number 2 and where we'll be headed. This map, one of my favorites in the game, simply because it's one of the oldest and most played. It's going to be King's Row, a map we know and love, often referred to as Scrim's Row, because every single team we're going to see has played this dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of times. And this is where you can't rely on knowing the map better than your opponent. You have to win off sheer skill alone.
Exactly. Like I only played for 1 semester in college, and we must have scrimmed this map like 50 times. Like it was ridiculous how many times teams scrim this. So you're not going to think of something that nobody's thought of before.
Exactly.
Like there's nothing that somebody has not tried, so you just have to make sure you're utilizing the right choke points and make sure you're playing it right. So now on King's Row, I do think we'll see less of the Winston that we did see over there on Ilios.
I hope so.
Could maybe send the offense, but I doubt it. We'll see probably more of the Ryan and Ramatra here that we've been seeing from time to time. And
is Salty gone? Oh, there he goes. We did lose Twin Salty, unfortunately. I'm sure he'll be back. It is no big deal. I like a lot of what he was saying, though, even though he can't hear me reply. I think we are going to possibly be seeing Reinhardt. Ramatra feels likely as well. Even going as far as Orisa could work. But I know Wrecking Ball himself finds a lot of great value. This lends really comfortably back to kind of what I was talking about earlier, how I don't think we're in a meta where it's like, yeah, okay, play this one tank and win. A lot of tanks can get value. Nearly all of them can find value in Wrecking Ball. Using the architecture of these close quarters pile drive could be huge. And there's a lot of opportunities for this team to find success, but I don't know. I'm anti-Winston right now, chat. I don't know your thoughts on that, but I personally am not excited about the Winston pick. I'm hoping we see another one. We could be seeing a D.Va. I've seen D.Va in like Masters-ish lately. People have been trying to run D.Va on this map, and I would like to see Brig as well. So for those that don't know, a little bit of a humble brag here. I hit Masters on support on PC for the first time. I was Masters on all 3 roles on Xbox, and then I changed to PC, and it became a whole new beast, but I'm finally back in Masters on support, and part of the reason I made it there is Brig. I think she's so strong right now. I think she's an incredibly easy character to work with, and very anti-Winston. She's got the whip shot to disrupt. She's got the shield bash to find a lot of great value, and she's just so freaking entertaining. But these teams aren't ready to change things up quite yet. St. John's going with the triedest and truest comp, one that I really haven't seen since Overwatch 1, is this Cass May Ryan Lucio BAP combination. Southern Utah getting ready to make a couple changes of their own. We see Asian Boy on the Widow, where that's probably what I'm going to call that King's Row Widowmaker, where you try to get one pick, it doesn't work. All right, whatever. You go in, you swap, and that's that. Zemetic's Ana Winston, that Nano Winston, one of the highest damage outputs in the entire game, assuming Winston does not primal. If he primals, his damage actually plummets compared to what it would have been without that Nano online. 5 seconds here, and St. John's University starting on the defense. Fight number 1 can often dictate how the momentum and the pacing of this map is going to go. If Southern Utah comes in and is able to roll through the defense of St. John's, this may be a bit of a steamroll in the first half, but if St. John's can answer even a single fight, that can work out very well for them at the end of the day. Ryan v. Winston, I think Ryan is going to feel pretty comfortable here. Has not a lot of damage burst on the other side, so that shield may stand strong for Southern Utah. I have gotten word Salty may be back with us.
Yep. Hello,
what up,
hello.
handsome? What's going on, my man?
I don't know, man. My internet seems to be taking a dumpster, so I apologize for that. Jake, those aim, not so much.
Jake, yeah, not taking a break at all. Feeling good. Let's see. This is a very slow burn from Southern Utah. We talked about this a lot last week, Salty, and I'll say it again. This is an insane risk versus reward, because look at the fact that they've spent an entire minute, 25% of their time bank on this single push, and if they're not able to make it work, well, they just kissed 25% of their time bank goodbye. Not even a single tick online, and St. John's dominates that engagement. Jake does go down to Asian Boy, and oh, what a left shift here from this Ryan. Jolton Joe tearing it up on that Reinhardt once again.
The gamble, as you said, does not pay off, and it seems like less and less that gamble does pay off with that super long rotation. Yes. Teams know how to counter it now. You just kind of hide in a hotel and wait for them to drop. So I don't know. I'm a little iffy on the rotation. I think it's worth a shot, but now, as you said, almost half of their time is gone, and they've only had one true fight.
That's a terrifying consideration. 90 seconds gone out of only 4 minutes, and you've hardly touched the point a single time. It's not where you want to find yourselves, but it's where Southern Utah is in this moment. Dolphin goes quick into the back line. The bubble is whiffed, and that should be this Winston going down. Luckily enough, Suzu there to keep him alive, but might be a delay of the inevitable. 70 HP makes it out of the fight. A little bit of luck on their side, but we'll absolutely take those. Southern Utah, half the time bank gone, 0% on point A.
And at this point, you have to bank on Relidox, man. Like, oh, on the wall. Actually, no. Suzu will actually save everybody. Now just counters out with the Kitsune.
Oh, that could be a Colossal Blizzard, but with the speed buff from Kitsune, I don't think it's actually going to find anything. It's up to Miku to stall for as long as possible. 2 have gone down. You've lost your BAP, and yeah, it's up to May to try and be the hero this squadron needs right now. I presume she's going to go for a bit of the stall if she's able to, but does not get the Cryo Freeze onto the site. Just has to be the hero in that closing moment, and hey, A for effort at the very least.
They could re-engage on this if they want to, but they'll more than likely play towards Arch. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. Jolton Joe's is positioning up over here by a bookstore, and it will be a nice little fight win there from Southern Utah. They just turn around, all of a sudden use Kitsune Rush. Asian Boy doesn't get a ton of elims, but gets a lot of the damage down that their team follows up on shortly after.
Yeah, tore up the Ryan shield as well, which made it very easy to get rid of the rest of the team there, and while Southern Utah has capped the first point, St. John's, like you said, going to be holding the Arch. This is the play after all, and as Asian Boy goes down to that new 100 damage fire strike, Southern Utah might have to be caught in their tracks for just a moment, waiting for that return of Reaper.
And it shouldn't at least be too long of a wait, but now St. John's can just chill over here, buy the choke, and now Southern Utah have to figure out how they want to go at this. Maybe they push top. Joey Baloney's trying to defend that as best as they can, but at some point, they're going to have to get rid of it. More of the Thunderbirds are now all the way up there.
It's a very slow and steady play style. Joey Baloney probably just got the jump scare of their life. Into the back line, left shift to boot. It's a catch, it's a slam into the bar, and poor Winston not making it home after that one. Taken down early. Relidox and Asian Boy not far behind, and Jake with a 3-piece to clean up the fight. Blink and you miss it, and it is over. Winston goes down, and the rest of the team crumbles behind.
All 3 headshots to finish off as well from Jake. The dude just does not miss. No matter what hero you put him on, and has that Deadeye, they can figure out how they want to go at this with only the Winston bubble available for potential shielding for Southern Utah. That, or they could use a Sound Barrier here from Compress if they feel like they need to be super aggressive.
Aggression might be the key, and I like what you're thinking there, Salty. Just to get through the Arch, using that beat may be helpful after all. There's not a lot of ultimates to drop the beat for on the side of St. John's. Blizzard, you should be able to speed boost out, or Suzu. Maybe you did it for Shatter. Okay, there we go. It does come out. Keeps everybody except Dolphin alive, and you lose your tank. That is absolutely a stall against Southern Utah once again. King's Row point 1.5 coming to life here. St. John's just a indestructible defense for the time being.
They go over to the Orisa now to try and create some more space, but no more shielding except for that jab spin, eating up that damage. It's more going to make Jolton Joe's life a little bit harder, but not everybody else's.
Kitsune online as the medic just wants to get this team up and around corner number 1. Miku drops the Blizzard, eaten by the Javelin spin. Dolphin swapping onto the Orisa, already worth its weight in gold here. Makes it a lot harder to play Reinhardt as well, as Orisa can really rush down an individual character. Has incredible shield break as well. Asian Boy in the back line looking for a bit of a spam here with the visor. Trying to isolate the Ryan from the rest of the team, and unfortunately just too far back to get much done with it. An ultimate down the drain, and one Southern Utah may want back after that fight comes to an end. St. John's on the back foot, but not down yet.
And they still have to go through one of the toughest alleyways in this part, and it's not like St. John's has given up either.
Immortality Field offline for Bappo, and with an overclock online, Reladox might be able to find some momentum. Getting up onto the high ground, maybe even a flank behind, could work wonders for this squadron. Earthshatter finds 3. None of them gonna live to tell the tale, and the squad cleaned up for Reladox. Last man standing goes down, and Southern Utah team wiped. Only 45 seconds remain.
Able to finish off the 3 that were taken down. Dolphin dies from the pure impact of it. And the Thunderbirds at least able to get through that initial choke, but they may have to just fight through it again here. That's the way St. John's are positioning up. And again, a lot of pressure on Reladox to try to at least deal with Jake, who just seems like an absolute monster.
Dealing with Jake may not be the hit scan battle, right? Maybe you want to go for something a little less traditional. Going for a Sombra, going for a May of your own. Could work really well. Terra Surge comes out, and...
Okay.
And,
is that an automatic, like, high ping pause?
Yeah, that is absolutely an automatic pause. I'm going to assume somebody... Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there goes,
disconnected, and the game was aware. I do believe the call there is you're actually supposed to pause when a fight comes to a close, not mid-fight. We talked about this last week. I never got a ruling confirmation, but I do believe those are the rules. Either way, it's unfortunate to lose a player in that moment because that could have been last fight, but now that you're unwillingly down 5-4, or 4-5 rather, you find yourself with your backs against the wall, and St. John's, hopefully they're able to find enough eliminations to equalize early on.
It must be some of the game code. I think they have that setting in, so at least...
the DC auto pause?
Yeah, so it's a little unfortunate. It sounds like they are back in the lobby, so it sounds like we should be getting back in shortly. But I guess for Thunderbirds, you take it. You know, it's a 5v4, not how you want to win this fight, but could get that few extra little bit of meter percentage and meter distance that could be a factor later on in this map.
Yeah, those extra couple of meters we saw last week, every time we saw Kings Row, last time we saw it rather, it was constantly a team stuck around that area of the kind of the second point cap. No, very few teams were able to make it there, and many teams got caught just shy of it. Absolutely hurts their chances of being able to find a victory down the line. But Southern Utah Thunderbirds looking for just one more fight. We're getting intel there. Hopefully they're going to be rejoining in just a minute. But until then, y'all get to look at us. And we talk a little bit more about what we're seeing. I love the Orisa swap, Salty. We didn't get the chance to talk about it very much. But like I mentioned earlier, it makes it really difficult to play Reinhardt. And maybe St. John's finding themselves on the wrong side of that.
They're just figuring out, okay, how do we want to deal with this Ryan? Because Joey Baloney's just speeding him around. Bappo is just healing them up 24/7. There's not been enough time for them to even focus down the shield, let alone kill him.
Reladox finds an early one onto Jake, finally wins that DPS duel and takes a huge power player offline for St. John's. No Blizzard, unfortunately, as Miku did disconnect, had to reconnect and lost all their old forehead. Jolton Joe can't left shift out in time. The wall up from Miku to try and save the rest of the team. Actually looks like it might get the job done. Immo has to be popped, and that actually should be a go button for Southern Utah to continue moving forward. The longer these elims take, the better for Southern Utah here, the further that cart can get.
They still have about 40 meters-ish here, so plenty of time for St. John's if they want to go back into this. They can. No ultimates for them to at least use, though. Asian Boy will have that Riptire up here, and already using the Kitsune.
Kitsune online, Riptire not far behind. And I do believe Riptire gets the small speed boost, but does not move fast enough. One of the hardest ultimates in the game to get value with from a distance like that, and it's going to be unfortunate, but it does buy Southern Utah a little more time and a second point cap. This goes all the way back to that DC, Salty. They didn't have the Blizzard that they needed to win that fight, and now all of a sudden, St. John's is here on third point, not even a minute later.
A nice little jab spin there as well from Dolphin. Just spins away Jolton Joe, who tries to pin on in, but the spin does not get canceled out by the pin, so able just to keep him out, but not as much the Jake shot.
Asian Boy goes down. Junkrat gets a lot of value here on the third point, both offense and defense. Left shift in, it's a bait, but it's still eats the javelin after. Jolton Joe waiting to find that space. Moving into this next fight, Salty, what ultimates are we looking at to give St. John's or Southern Utah a win here?
I'm looking at the window here from Bappo. Just nice little quick fight win. Make sure you can use the rest of yours in the final fight.
I think it's a great call. I'm definitely looking for that window as well, with an Earth Shatter right behind it. Even a Blizzard to boot. A lot of damage going to be coming out from St. John's before Southern Utah gets a lot of their ults. They're going to be close, but if St. John's wins this one quickly, this fight can be the last true fight. They can force Southern Utah into a bit of a panic push. Instead, I love what we're seeing from Utah here. It's patience, it's slowing it down, and it's trying to bait out a couple of ults before this final fight begins. Dolphin has that Terra Surge, pops it, but I don't think they're going to live long enough to use it. Certainly not. Does force the beat from Joey Baloney. High noon forces the team off-site, and now St. John's looking to say goodbye to the first half. Not the way they wanted it to end, but unfortunately the way that it did. Blizzard online gets to the third point, and Zemetic flanking into the back line. All about the stall. No way they get Sune. Okay, well, A for effort, I guess, but we're definitely back to that delay of the inevitable that we saw on Ilios as well.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, why not use it? You know, you don't want to just... You can't take it the next round, so you might as well just use it there. And if you get an exit pick, you get an exit pick. I would say, considering what it was looking like with 30 seconds left in Streets phase, it is not a bad offense.
Oh,
because they had no right to even finish second phase, let alone get a tiny bit over there on third. They at least get it around that first corner. So it's not the worst thing in the world for them. I do think the Miku disconnect, it's just unfortunate. There's nothing, obviously, they can control about it. So it's a little bit of a rough scenario, because as you said, they wanted that Blizzard to use during that fight. If they did, you know, we could have already been on the St. John's attack by now, but the reality is we are not. So now they have just a little bit longer to go if they want to try and claim that 2-0 advantage. And Southern Utah now just wanting to go the Rhine themselves, and Reladox now on the Bastion for the pure shield break potential.
Please give me the Bastion. Such a strong character right now. I had a game today where I went like 41-6 on Bastion, and I'm not good enough to be going 41-6. This kid is busted, and I'm excited to see a character like Reladox bringing it out early. Like you said, complete and total shield break potential. Should make it really difficult for Joe to play Reinhardt in this opening engagement. That choke with defenses right there is the exact same size as the Rhine shield. If there is no Rhine shield to shield, it could be a field day for Southern Utah to win at least fight number 1.
Jake looking for the snipe. Anybody gonna peek? Anybody home? Nope. All right.
King's Row Widow.
King's Row Widow moment, and now he just goes right over to that Cassidy.
Excited to see the Cassidy again. Jake was a maniac on it. 3 headshot elims in a row. Probably play of the game earlier. Did certainly play the game to me so far. St. John's, they've read the Bastion already. They've gotten the information. They know they have to play Statue. What a wall! What an opening! Is it enough for St. John's to get in early? That wall does not sustain a lot of damage, but it was enough for Jolton Joe to get out of the middle of nowhere. Gets a little bit of natural cover. The damage farming from St. John's right now has to be outputting the damage that Southern Utah is able to provide. I'm getting a little bit of feed lag on my end, but from what I can see, St. John's feeling strong as this engagement will turn in their favor. Asian Boy down. Can they find just one more elim to feel more comfortable? They give Bappo for the elimination, but Dolphin has gone down, and Southern Utah looking at an advantage to win this fight, or lose this fight.
Rilladox, I don't mind the gamble there. It did not work out, though. St. John's just time it perfectly. You throw the May wall down, you try and at least bait out the rotation over to Hotel, and at that point, you can slowly work your way into point and have plenty of time to try and just slowly pick away that shield from Dolphin, and then therefore Rilladox as well. And now they're making sure, hey, we are not going to be held at Archway like Southern Utah were for several minutes. We're just going to push all the way up the bookstore to give Jake some space to get this Deadeye ready and online.
Deadeye locked and loaded here for Jake. I wouldn't be surprised to see it used as more of a tactical reload than anything else, just due to the fact that it's a very difficult ultimate to get value with. Salty, I am having some tech issues on my end now, so I'm going to have you go ahead and take this one.
All right, sounds good. Jake trying to move on forward. Miko already with the first opening pick. Now Window's going to be used, and just so much damage going through, but Southern Utah able to at least get out of the way early here. This cart, though, still continues to move on. Southern Utah try to rotate out. And now, knowing that they only have too much time left here in this second phase, going to try and use that Kitsune Rush.
Kitsune Rush online, and Southern Utah University looking for a moment to strike. Artillery strike coming out from Rilladox as well. Not able to find any eliminations, get several members very low in the HP department. Can't clean it up, unfortunately, and Rilladox on the high ground might get called out for their over-aggression. St. John's, plenty of ultimates in the bank. Let's see what they have to work with.
Have the Blizzard to use, and that's, yeah, Blizzard, Deadeye able to clean it on up. They have Shatter if they want to use it next fight. And that should honestly be Streets phase here for St. John's. I don't think Southern Utah are able to get back, and at this point, you have to win every single fight for, God, almost 5 minutes, because with how far that cart got, you really only have one fight to really mess with, and the swaps, everybody making swaps. So Asian Boy and Compress, and it's a big gamble here. A lot of pressure on the Compress to at least land an ult to keep in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, over 5 minutes on the clock right now. St. John's got to be feeling good. They haven't biffed the Shatter. They've got Amp Matrix, and as the Shatter is going to be kind of just around the corner, I assume they're going to bait out the gold and then go for a little bit of space. Javelin catches Jolton Joe early. Jab spin eats a lot as well. A Bionade from Zemetic trying to make the space the team needs, but it's a 3-man Shatter. No! Somehow Compress wasn't on the ground. Gets an amazing beat onto the ground and gets the team up and running once again. Dolphin cannot live long enough, and all of a sudden, this team finding themselves back against the wall. The 4K from Jake cleans house, and St. John's University feels good to win that map. 2-0 on the series and feeling strong. Sorry, folks, we're having a little bit of tech issues on our side, but we're going to try to get those fixed. A big congrats to St. John's on map number 2.
In Jake, we trust. That is the lone slogan of St. John's right now. They just seem to do no wrong. For whatever they do, no matter what, this is actually the very end of the game. Just able to lock it up with the Amp Matrix, gets a nice little 4K. Able to get the headshot on one of those as well, and just what a nice little showing there from Jake, especially. You know, we said a lot about the Soldier in play, this time going over to the Cassidy. And as much as Southern Utah have tried here, like to try and make sure, like, hey, we're at least pressuring them a little bit. They're shutting down Miko, I would say, actually a decent amount. I won't lie. But it's just Jake's show at this point. When they're able to get that space created by Jolton Joe, when their supports are able to keep him up, especially Bappo, there's just no stopping them.
Without a doubt, no stopping them at all. Now, folks, we're going to go ahead and throw it to a super short break. The stream may restart. Do not panic. We are having some latency issues on our end. We're going to go ahead, reset, and we'll be right back with map number 3 in just a couple of minutes.